about 7 miles east-southeast of here last June. So it's been out of the ground a little bit over a year. It's a duck-billed dinosaur, femur. Right femur, yeah. What do you say, probably a monosaurus?
Probably a monosaurus.
Probably a monosaurus. Make as much of the blade as you can. Nice. There you go through.
Either change those or snap this baby off.
Are we going to cut the wood?
Well, let's just cut it off the wood, like we did before.
I think we'll have to. There'll be less.
Or take the blade off.
There you go. Okay, let's roll it towards Scott.
This is the Hadrosaur bone, about 7 miles away on another ranch, a 24,000 acre ranch. And the evolutionists from another facility up north found out about this area and convinced the landowner to not allow Otis Kline and his co-workers from digging on their property anymore. And now they're using it for their own purposes. So Joe, among other things, decided to buy this property.
Screwdriver, so I can't just
He has
separate.
37 acres,
Get that peel.
which if you look in the distance here, as we're waiting for them to do some final work on this particular Hadrosaur femur bone found in 2004. Let's move over to the countryside that he now owns. This hillside looks like the Badlands of South Dakota or North Dakota, the Roosevelt National Park, which is in North Dakota. Now, Otis Kline owns all this, and he also is building a 20,000 square foot museum on this.
Yeah.
Now we're back to the bone. It's about ready to separate it.
Cut the plaster.
Plaster appears to be the holdup.
Well, we can take any of these saws through that plaster.
Now they're continuing to saw, trying to get the last bit of plaster, about a ½ inch of plaster, that has been protecting the bone from falling apart. They want to protect it. So most of it is cast at the site where the bone has been found.
about through there. What's it like on the other side?
Still, we go all the way down, and then we can separate it. We'll take the saw out after we separate them. Pull them down, back down.
Well, they're still attempting to get the bone apart without breaking it. Let's go look at the hillside where they have found a whole group of bones, partially articulated and associated. And there may be 2 bones up there. So let's take a look at this hillside where the tents are located. Not tents, but the umbrellas keep the heat away. You can see the umbrellas. Now we go back. Go up and look in the hills behind him.
There you go.
Look at the big hill in the distance.
Just about got it. Feel it. That's a wheel of a lot more solid.
Different looking on the inside.
A lot different.
That's where we were having a hard time going, right there.
That's solid, isn't it? Right at the outside.
That's like stone there.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. It's far more fossil or
It's a different kind of bone. I mean, it's a different structure.
Okay, that's all sanded and then that's where it was. Yeah. Crushed or something. Settled.
We just moved the bone out here so we could see the amount of petrification.
Yeah, I'm surprised it got in.
Clear in there.
There's a lot of petrified bone-like material, and it's very hard on the right side and on the upper left side. There is a little bit of root system in here. You can see some roots at the bottom I'm pointing to right now. The roots will not be a problem with carbon dating because they pull the roots out and get rid of most of the weight, and then any residual material would be taken care of by hydrochloric acid, alkaline, an alkali, a sodium hydroxide, and more acid a third time in between the sample. Whatever we collect from here will be then distilled water rinsed carefully after each acid rinse at high temperature, close to 80 degrees Fahrenheit. So with that in mind, then we got to go pause here and collect some samples. Taylor has just, and with a gang of 4 sewers, just removed this, which end, Joe, do we have here? What would you call this?
This is the proximal end, closest to the body here.
The proximal end, closest to the body. And we're looking at the top surface right here, and that was actually on the bottom.
This side was down in the sediments, right, Otis? Right.
Okay.
Out here is most all bone has a thicker layer on the outside. The inner cortex is spongy. And this bone isn't filled in there with anything. It's just still pretty much hollow. And the same way it is on mammoth bones, human bones, and other bird bones, they just have the hollow stuff, the outer side, and what's inside is pretty soft, or almost nothing.
Is this actually soft, or is it pretty well hard?
Well, this is pretty hard. Yeah, that feels replaced. And this over here, this is really hard to saw, and that's probably why it's real good bone right there. But this is not disturbed over here. You have a little bit of root invasion there. There's a crack that's gone through here and changed things a bit. But in here, I don't think you have very much invasion. This is all good testable stuff.
Okay, then what we'll do then, Joe, is to take samples from the two areas that you like real well and break them out as best we can, and we'll send them to a radiocarbon dating laboratory.
Then we give you this stuff up here you wanted that's dark and black.
Yes, right, and there's some black material on top of the bone, which is what we would like to call is carbonized, and this is normally carbonized on the downside. So we do not know what was underneath the bone, but maybe a lot of vegetation. This is what happened, I think, in Colorado. Right, Joe? For the Allosaurus, there was vegetation on the bottom side?
Right. There doesn't appear to be any on this particularly, but all the bone up here is black-brown until it weathers out.
Okay, so that would mean it absorbed more carbon there than possibly elsewhere. So we'll probably take a third sample from that bone section that was on the bottom of the dig area, and not take any from the top at all, and see if...
Now this bone out here, all the bone is actually dark brown. As it weathers out, it turns to orange, orange, yellow, then gray and white.
Yes, we've seen gray and white at the Museum of Natural History, at the Carnegie Museum of Natural History in Pittsburgh, but we also got black bone materials, and we checked that out many years ago, about 15 years ago, and they had anywhere from 3% to 7% carbon on the blackened bone surfaces. So, okay, Joe, I guess we're ready to take some samples, and
Okay.
someone else can man the camera here, and I'll put it on pause. This is a bone
Probably about
fragment
2 miles, or at
from
least a mile.
inside,
And then it makes
that's
a
in the
short turn to the
cortex
left,
area of the
which
bone of
goes
the
north.
hadrosaur.
And just
I'm
stay on the
going
road,
to,
and it takes you, from that point when it turns, go north. it's
Zoom
3
in
miles
on it
to
a
the
little
airport.
bit,
All right.
and you
And
can
they're,
see
And you stay on that road and,
the
ends at the
Haversian
airport.
canals.
yeah, it's the
This is
only...
very
You might want to test to see if you can clean the glue. I need to
Particles.
tell you what, take a damp, take that brush right there damp, and just see if it'll clean back up.
Okay, so that could be carbonized material.
Clean. Well, I mean, clean the rest of the stuff off here, because this got dirt
That's
on
Joe
it.
Taylor in the background giving some instructions.
That looks good.
Okay, now we're looking at the upper part of the bone. Right in the center of the picture is where some blackened material was found. This was the section that was facing downward into the ground, into the clay matrix where it was found. So that was blackened, probably from the vegetation that was there and from the dinosaur skeleton or dinosaur flesh. So you can see where we took it out of here. Right near the top right side. It's been chipped away, right in the center of the field. This will be carbon dated. Hopefully, we'll find some carbon-14.